Okay. Looks like we are live.
We're good to go.
Yeah. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm Pam Jacobson, your host of Three Things You Need to Know. And I have a special guest with me today. Trevor Love is joining us from OrthoMolecular, which is one of the top nutraceutical companies in the industry and one that I use a lot in my practice. And we're going to hear from Trevor in a few minutes. I'm going to have him really talk to you today about the differences, the important differences between what goes on in the development of a medical professional grade nutraceutical that I might use with you, my patients, in treatment versus the things that you buy over the counter. And then he's also going to talk about, this is the Resilience series. We're in part 5 today. And he's going to talk about some of the top supplements that you should have in your arsenal for resilience. But quickly, before I cut to Trevor, I wanted to just review, this is, like I said, part 5. So, be sure to look back at the other 4 discussions about resilience. This will be an ongoing series. And in part 1, I've tried to line these up in somewhat in order of priority, but really the reality is, if you want to truly be at the top of your game as far as your health and resilience, especially in this challenging time that we're all facing with our health, you kind of have to be really doing all of these things. But I would say that the most important is what I covered in part 1, which is sleep. Without, quality restorative sleep, the body can't repair and recover. And we really need that to create a foundation for resilience. Part 2, we talked about stress response management, which in my opinion, and really pretty much what I see in the science and learn in all of my training, is, again, like sleep, to restore and repair the body. If we're not dealing with our responses to the stresses in our environment properly, we're really tearing down and damaging the body in a lot of ways. And unfortunately, many of us don't recognize the level of stress that we encounter on a daily basis. So having a good stress response management regimen that you do daily is critical. I talk a lot about that in part 2. Part 3, we talked about fuel for the body, nutrition, which I think we all know is important, but I oftentimes think that, we don't have a good template. We're not sure. There's a lot of information out there. So be sure to tune in there for part 3. Yeah, last week we talked about movement of the body, exercise. Again, the science is just stunning when it comes to what exercise can do for resilience and repair and recovery and anti-aging and you name it. So it's something that we need to be doing, again, pretty much on a daily basis. And today, part 5, I wanted to talk about support. And there's really kind of 3 key areas when we look at, again, those that are successful in creating a good environment for resilience. And that would be family support. And I really, advise my patients that anytime they're undertaking any type of health regimen or plan to rebuild health foundation, or if they've been diagnosed with a health condition and they're going to make some changes to help support recovery from that, is that you invite your family members to participate with you, or at least involve them in what your plan for recovery is. I find oftentimes that my patients don't make the headway that they would like to because they're getting resistance from people that they're close to, family members. Let's say their recovery plan involves weight loss, and which means eating differently and exercising and changing their routines, but their spouse or perhaps their children, or maybe even in the case of a patient I had yesterday, her pets are not on board with her plan for recovery. So I think involving your family and then plugging into the community. Many of you know that I am the chief wellness officer for a company called Level 10 Health. And one of the things that we use in that system that has been extremely helpful in helping our clients reach their health goals is a community network. So we use, in this case, a Facebook group, a very large Facebook group that is an open forum for discussion and support. But I recognize that that's happening now, especially in the connected fitness industry. For instance, Peloton. If you use their app and you become a member of that community, it's huge, hundreds of thousands of people. that are there supporting and cheering on each other and helping with ideas. So community support's, I think, very important for resilience, especially in this time when we're so isolated from community in many ways. And so plugging yourself into a community or various communities, especially with the access that we have online, can be very helpful in helping you to build this good kind of resilient environment around you that we're looking for. And then finally, supplement support. So I want to break down that word. The definition of supplement is to support. In this case, or in my world of functional medicine, when I'm working with a client and I use supplements in my treatment plan, it is there to support the work they are already doing. So I want to be very clear. Supplements don't cure you. They're there to support the work that you're doing. So if we look back at these parts of the resilience series that I've been covering, if you're working on your sleep and working on your nutrition and working on your exercise and working on your stress response management, the supplementation that we use to support each one of those helps, I think, exponentially move the needle forward in terms of you reaching your goals. But you must really have the two of them together. So supplements can't take the place of the work that you need to do. And the work that you need to do really needs supplementation to kind of round it out and move the needle forward quicker. So having said all of that, part 5 is really about support. And I want to turn it over to Trevor, let him introduce himself. And he just was recently back in his corporate office. So he's got some really good news to share with us in terms of helping you understand what goes on in this process when somebody like me gives you a supplement. And I'll have some questions for him. So Trevor, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you introduce yourself to the group.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Dr. Jacobson. So my background was in human performance. So I spent about 10 years in strength conditioning, kinesiology, working with high school athletes, college athletes, and pro athletes. And that eventually brought me into this sector just because in performance, you're looking, just like you said, for every variable under the sun that improves someone's performance. And that comes in the form of many lifestyle changes, training, recovery, mindset, and also dietary nutrients. And so anyone looking to improve their function, whether that's because they're an employee that just wants to be sharp mentally, or it's a professional athlete, there's really no difference. We all have the same organs, we all have the same tissues, and we all need to do everything in our power to support those tissues if we want to reach our potential. So that's what kind of drove me into integrative medicine and functional medicine, is that a lot of our doctors are utilizing supplements, dietary nutrients, and lifestyle as the main course of action or their standard of care. And that has proven to be a great way to address the root cause of a lot of illness, similarly to every human being or athlete, which is addressing the root cause on a more positive sense of optimizing performance. Yeah, so now I've been with OrthoMolecular for a couple of years now and been able to see the behind the scenes of what takes place in creating evidence-based formulas and working and having a clinician team, a clinical expert team, and really bringing science together with natural therapies and trying to mimic the structure of the traditional medical system, but innovate and change the prescriptions, which will be more lifestyle-based.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So talk a little bit, Trevor, about, because I think what I get a lot from my patients is this concern that when I prescribe something, and it's just sort of maybe the mentality that we all have these days, is let me see if I can get that cheaper somewhere else, or why can't I buy this on Amazon, or geez, if I go to Walmart and buy this product, it's a lot cheaper. I want to tell just a really quick story. I had a patient yesterday who said, I always go through their supplement list. She was a new patient and she was taking a few things already. And I always ask them to send me the supplement facts label so I can see the doses and what the added ingredients are. And these were supplements that she had purchased at Walmart. And they had, all kinds of things in them that are concerning, especially if it's a product you're going to use on a daily basis. Fillers, dyes, FD&C, red, yellow dyes, which give the pill or the capsule its color. coatings, in this case, carnauba wax. I don't know about you, but that's pretty much what goes on my car when I go through the car wash. So it was very concerning. And I asked her to please, not to mention the fact that the nutrients that she thought she was getting, she's a 62-year-old woman, and one of her products was a prenatal vitamin. And I said, why are you taking a prenatal vitamin? And she said, well, because I figured that would have a whole lot of the stuff I need in it. And this is kind of the mentality. It's, I want all of these things because I believe they'll help me, but I also, I want the best bargain or discount that I can get. And in this case, she may have been really doing more harm than good, given that she has a lot of inflammatory processes and health issues. And she's taking these supplements that have a lot of additives that are potentially, harmful for her. So can you address that a little bit? Why, I know that sometimes you can find OrthoMolecular products on Amazon, not because you guys put them there. So maybe address some of that, and that study that was out recently, also on Amazon. Yeah.
Let me know if any questions come in on the other end, because I'm sure this is a really exciting topic. So forgive me, I'm going to be very blunt and very direct with this, because this is an area of passion for us, and I try to educate as much as possible. But there's a point at which marketing and advertising dollars outweigh integrity and how many people are educated on the right reasons. So the truth of the matter is that probably 98% of the world is wasting their money on supplements, and probably not an exaggeration. I have a rule, and my family is we don't buy retail ever. So as soon as I got into this industry and I saw what was behind the scenes, I will never buy a product outside of the medical channel ever again for supplements. And it's like saying, why does the person who works at the sausage packing factory never want to buy any meat or sausage again? It's like, well, once you've seen it, you can't unsee that. You find out what's actually going on in these manufacturers abroad that send raw materials to the United States. And then you see the pollution, the contaminants, the lack of therapeutic dosing, the cheating, the studies. And you say, why would I even pay $10 for some of this stuff? So forgive my emotion here, but here's the legitimacy and the facts behind what takes place every day in America in regard to supplements. Okay, so if you just took the recent Amazon study, which showed 4 out of about 40 supplements met label claim, and you just change the title, it comes out every 6 months for the last 5 years. But the reason why you don't hear it as a consumer, or you don't hear it as a supplement fanatic, is because the marketing and the money outweigh the cool labels and the new brand ambassadors and GNC. They all want you to go there. And what they don't tell you is that less than 10% of the bottles actually have what they claim is in it. So first problem is that your chances of buying a supplement that actually contain what it says it has in it when you don't go in the medical channel is less than 10%. That's not even addressing the contaminants, all these toxins, the artificial coloring, the artificial sweeteners, the lack of therapeutic dosing. The list goes on and on and on. So if I had to give one set of advice to all people in the nutrition, nutrient, lifestyle medicine world, is do not buy supplements from anybody that is not a licensed practitioner. And yes, that comes with a cost, but that's peace of mind. And you know that your supplements are based off efficacy and science when you buy from a practitioner exclusive company. But when you buy randomly on Amazon, they always say the most expensive supplement is the one you pee out. Horrible absorbing, possibly detrimental. And this goes back to the question people always ask, which is like, I thought supplements don't work. Yeah, a lot of them don't. Does that mean that dietary nutrients don't work in the research? No, the research is really good. It's the manufacturing and the capitalism behind those products that has failed so many people. So always buy from a trusted source. Don't get fooled by the marketing, and stay with that source for indefinitely. So that's what I always say is like, don't change brands. I bought from the same brand when I was a consumer for 10 years because I knew that one brand, I could actually trust them. So yeah, there's a lot of really, really questionable actions in the supplement space because the FDA regulates disease claims and safety. But the FDA's budget compared to the dietary supplements budget are very, very different. And it's impossible for the FDA to keep up with every new company, new product, new raw material, billions and billions of dollars being poured in. So in the most literal sense, you could be buying something from a company who pops up and creates a supplement within a month with zero regulation and says, hey, I really just want a half sugar, half ingredients, and I want to make a quick buck and move on. So just be very careful when you're considering who to buy from.
Okay, great. Thank you. There were a couple of questions. I do think you answered them. Casey wanted to know how an average guy would know what a good or bad supplement was. I
Yeah.
hear, one person says these 3 things are the best, and someone else says, no, these other 3 things are the best. And there's so much information out there, and it's very
Yeah.
confusing. So
That's a good question. I mean, essentially at the end of the day, it's kind of like anything, right? If you don't have the time and energy to research a company in the stock market, then you probably need to go to the experts to ask them what their thoughts are. If you don't have the time and research to investigate a food, then you probably should ask the experts. So in supplements, you don't have time to ask for the certificates of analysis, read through them, see how much mercury is in them, to third-party test every bottle. So that's why you work with companies. So you buy from a company that is associated with a doctor. At the end of the day, the doctors have done the legwork for you. And so a licensed practitioner has more liability than any company. So if a doctor decides to partner with a supplement company, it's because there's a level of trust that's unbeatable. And that means that they either have seen the COAs, they've seen the manufacturer, they've worked with the company for years, they've asked for the documentation. There's a level of relationship and trust between every doctor and all of the lab tests they order, the prescriptions they make, and the supplements they offer.
absolutely. Yeah. And I would say, I've been in functional medicine now for a little bit more than the last 20 years. And I've worked with OrthoMolecular a good majority of that time for the reasons that you stated, right? First of all, my license is on the line when I'm working with a patient. I need supplementation that is actually going to make a difference in this person's condition. The functional breakdown that we're treating, is what I'm giving them actually going to facilitate the recovery that we're looking for. But I think even more importantly, if I'm going to be giving these things to someone, I want to make sure that there's nothing in them that is potentially harmful or would cause a problem over the long term. And I did a lot of investigation before deciding what companies to work with. And I was always impressed with the degree to which OrthoMolecular went in terms of their research and their science behind really everything they did, not to mention their innovation, as far as always looking forward at, what does this industry need in order to help us help our patients. So, and as I said before, most of you know that I have that I work with this other company, Level 10 Health, and one of the things that they had invited me to do for them was to create a product line. Now, I'm not a manufacturer. I am not truly a product formulator, but I had, big companies that I had worked with, like Ortho, that had sort of paved the way for me in terms of my knowledge to be able to put together a small product offering. But I can tell you, in that process, had it not been for my standards, we could have basically produced anything we wanted. Nobody was asking, looking, watching, and nobody continues to do that, right? So because it was incumbent on me to be the voice in that manufacturing process about the quality of the raw materials and the ultimate end product that we were looking for as a company, that's the reason why we have those high quality products. But it was not because we were being governed by anybody at that point. So I think it's a good point that Trevor makes, that, pretty much anybody can throw up a shingle and sell a product. And now there may come a time when they get caught and taken out, but the bottom line is millions of people will have possibly used that product. So, and then you've got big companies like Walmart, Target, that have huge lobbying organizations and a lot of money behind them that will probably always be able to sell very, low grade things, within their venues. So I think that, this is a really timely discussion, given that we're all much more focused now on what else could I do to protect myself. So having said that, Trevor, what would you say? I mean, I've already sounded on this, several weeks back or months really now, when the COVID thing started. I think I did a segment on the 8 nutrients or supplements you need to be using now. I'd like to hear from you on what are some of the things that you would recommend as part, if we're thinking about this as resilience
Mm-hmm.
for the current health crisis that we're in. How do I resist getting the virus if I get it? How do I make sure I'm healthy enough that I don't get really sick?
Mhm.
But then for those of us too that are really looking at things like aging and disease prevention, I mean, what would you say
Yeah.
are the top? Um,
Yeah. So three key points before even examining what would go on the label, and these are pillars. So if someone's thinking, okay, I still don't understand why I would take a certain supplement or what separates medical from non-medical, et cetera, it would be this. One, research driving the choices. That's more of the art. There's a lot of research out there, just like Dr. Jacobson, there's an art to formulation. So deciding how much research supports a certain ingredient and how to utilize that ingredient for what goal, and then how much of that ingredient. But so number one, research driven. Okay, number two, it would be raw material quality. So let's say you used a research study that said vitamin C is super effective, but then you lose a very, very low level, low grade, horribly manufactured vitamin C. Well, not effective anymore. So you use a super high quality raw material because the research says so. And then pillar number three would be therapeutic dosing. If you can accomplish all three, the study showed vitamin C in this form, okay, raw material, quality, high level form at this dose, 3 grams per day, raised hydrogen peroxide levels and attacked viruses in the body. Boom, there you go. You got a winner. The challenge with the retail market is they rarely do well at all three. It's always, the research says this ingredient's really effective. So we buy a low level quality of that ingredient to leverage the research. And then we give a little bit of dosing because nobody really knows how much they need to take, right? And I can make a lot of money off that. And so they get maybe one pillar right. Maybe the good companies get two. Very rarely does a retail company get three. So no supplement will be effective or work if those three pillars aren't accomplished. But if your goal is immune support and you're asking yourself during COVID-19, other than lifestyle factors, what can I do to just support my immune system? And I've accomplished all three pillars, then what I'm looking for ingredient wise is really the IFM put out a list on their website. So if you want to go to ifm.com, read the Institute of Functional Medicine, they basically laid out a white paper on all the most popular immune support ingredients. But from the top, essentially it's quercetin, curcuminoids, resveratrol, EGCG, which is green tea extract, vitamin C, vitamin A for mucosal immunity, vitamin D for 5% of the genome that signals when you take vitamin D and is responsible for so many different functions. And then you're looking at like maybe some botanicals like or extracts like mushrooms that are immune modulators. And then lastly, but most importantly, there was a reason why this isn't on the website because we're the only company that offers it, which would be SBI Protect, which is serum derived immunoglobulins. And make it more simple, these are passive proteins that are immune proteins that you would get like any organism that nurses from their mother. So a baby to mom or a cow to a mom, you're getting the immunoglobulins that support your body's adaptive immune system. So if you were to say like, what should I take? I go vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin D, quercetin, resveratrol, EGCG, curcuminoids, and potentially some immunoglobulins if you work with Dr. Jacobson, because she would have access to that exclusive material.
Mm-hmm. Great, great. So, and we have, if you look back, for those of you that might be joining us for the first time, look back at the this ongoing live every Wednesday Q&A. I've covered a lot of those nutrients in my discussion. And like I have said every time, regardless of whether you're my client or not, if you watch this and these are things that you're interested in and you want to have access, I can certainly help you with that. But I would say that if you're looking like most of us are at this point in time to build a level of resilience and protection around yourself from not only our current healthcare crisis, but I think it's important really to understand that what the COVID era has shown us are the holes in not only our acute care medical system when it comes to preparation for things like this, but really our personal responsibility for creating the daily regimens, lifestyle, and support that we need to be resistant in this type of environment. I mean, COVID is really just one thing in what will likely be an ongoing, perhaps even larger list of things that we will be faced with, that we will encounter over the coming decades, as things are changing. I think we would be silly to think that once we get past, if we ever do, the COVID situation, that there just won't be another thing in the wings to take its place. So it's really, again, our responsibility to be resilient and to do what we need to do on a daily basis. So I think Trevor's done a really nice job of laying out for you not only the supplementation that can be supportive, but the reason why that supplementation should be coming from a company or a manufacturer such as OrthoMolecular that has the ability to provide not only the professional grade and quality of ingredients, but the therapeutic dosing. Because again, if we don't have a therapeutic dosing, we're not really going to make the difference that we're looking to make. So we did have a few other questions, but I think you've answered them all. What about those that claim third-party testing? Doesn't that mean they're tested and proven?
Yeah, great question. Look, at the end of the day, everything is manipulation in the retail sector. That's what people have to understand, is everything you read that's marketing, advertising, or on a bottle by a retail company is put on there to hook you. And just because something's third-party tested, what that means is Trevor, took my bottle and I just sent it off to some company just to test. What did they test? I don't know. What, you tell me. So my first question for anyone that says it's third-party tested, said, for what? Because never is it efficacy or does it work. No one can even do that test. There's no test for does it work. There's a test for, hey, can you third-party test this for blank toxins? Sure. There's no toxins in it. Doesn't work, but there's no toxins. So there's all kinds of examples. Can you third-party test this for, dosing? Hey, we actually did match the label. Great. Horrible raw materials, but we did match the label, So everyone has, just don't be deceived. Don't be fooled by the supplement market. There's so much deception. It's called the Wild West for a reason. Any of you could start your own company in a month, and it would be it's irresponsible to allow anyone into the sector without legitimacy. You have to remember, everything on the bottle is put on there to get you to buy, and it's not put on there for the product to work or to claim integrity or safety or legitimacy. So you need to ask better questions of, oh, it's third-party lab tested, or even NSF or USP. What does that even mean? And I can explain that if we need to, but there's a lot better questions to ask once you realize this is all just a bunch of advertising.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think that, we got some good information today. Part 5 of the Resilience series is all about support. So remember, it is the supplement support, certainly, that Trevor talked about here, and I can help you get access to that. But it's also really getting yourself dialed into your community support, as well as, making sure that your family's on board with you, or at least aware of what your recovery plan or your resilience plan is going forward, so that they can at least understand and support you in that effort. So I appreciate all of you. I'm here every Wednesday at 9 a.m. And, I really appreciate your feedback. If you would like to see more of these types of segments where I bring on someone who can answer some of these very important questions, and certainly someone that I trust and use on a regular basis, please reach out and give me your feedback. But we really appreciate your input today. Trevor, anything else before we sign off?
Thank you for having me, Dr. Jacobson. I would say if I'm a viewer, I would encourage you to take advantage of listening in each week, because at the end of the day, not many doctors are as accessible as Dr. Jacobson. And really, health is a lifestyle. It's not a 6-month visit where you just get some labs ran just to make sure that you're not outside the range. It's something that you should be focusing on every week and every month. So you should take advantage of this free resource. I mean, I am constantly learning from the doctors that I get to work with, and this content is not often, just given away. So I like to tune in each week to continue to learn. And I would encourage you to do the same, because the future of medicine is very holistic. It's lifestyle-based, it's root cause-based, it's prevention-based. And as she said, there's nothing you can do to get rid of COVID-19 other than take care of yourself. So right now you should just be asking, what can I do? And be along for the ride of taking care of yourself and preventing any disease, but really optimizing your life, because you'll find that preventing COVID-19 and all the changes you made actually improves all the other things that maybe your body needed for a long time. So I thank you, Dr. Jacobson, just for all you're doing for the community and standing up for what is really right about medicine, which is helping people get healthy the right way. So thank you.
You're very welcome. It's my passion for sure. So, okay, signing off. We'll see you all next Wednesday. If you have any questions or comments, please either put them in the chat area or certainly reach out to me through my website. You'll find all the information there at thehealingsanctuaryoc.com. Take care, everyone. Have a great week.